Greetings, children from Enochville. This is Uncle Phil, and it's time for story time with Uncle Phil. This week is Father's Day, and we wanted to celebrate all the fathers in our church and the fathers that are in our story life. So today our story is about the father of many nations. His name was Abraham. A long time ago, God asked a man named Abram to leave the beautiful city of Ur, where he lived, and move to another country. You see, the people of Ur didn't love God, but Abram loved God, and God loved Abram. God promised to show Abram the way to the new land. God loves us and helps us to follow him too. So Abram, his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all of their servants hurried and scurried to pack everything they owned. They packed tents, they packed blankets, they packed clothes and jewelry. Whew, what a big job. Finally, Abraham and his family, his servants, and all his flock of animals began the long journey to the new land. Abram's journey took him hundreds and hundreds of miles across the hot desert. Abram and his family and his servants and his animals walked and walked and walked. Finding enough food and water for all these people and animals was a hard job. One day they came to a huge tree. Can you find the tree in the picture? There aren't many trees in the desert, so Abram and his family enjoyed the cool shade. While they rested there, God spoke to Abram again. God promised to give the land around the tree to Abram and his family. Abram built an altar to mark the special place where God talked to him. Then Abram traveled on until he came to a big hill. He pitched his tent on the hill and looked all around at the land God had given him. Abram built another altar to thank God for guiding him. Abram, his wife Sarai, and his nephew Lot lived in the new land that God blessed him. Soon they had so many animals that their shepherds couldn't find enough grass and water to feed them all. Abram's shepherds and Lot's shepherds began to argue. "Hey, Abraham's sheep were here first." "No way! We always bring Lot's sheep here. You'll have to find another place for Abraham's sheep." Abram said to Lot, "This is silly. Our shepherds shouldn't be fighting. God has given us this whole land. You choose which part of the land you want, and then I'll take my animals somewhere else." Lot looked all around. On one side he saw a green valley with plenty of grass and water, and even some cities. The other side looked rough and hilly. There was hardly a patch of green grass to be seen. So Lot said, "I'll take this green valley over here." Abram could have said, "No, you just want the best land for yourselves." But he didn't. Abram was kind, and he knew that God would provide food and water for his animals. And sure enough, God gave Abram just what he needed. God loves us and gives us what we need too. Late one night, God spoke to Abram again. God led Abram outside and said, "Look at the sky. There are so many stars that you can't count them. One day you'll have a son. Your son will have children, and his children will have children. Your family will grow and grow until you can't count all the people in it, just as you can't count all the stars in the sky." Then God gave Abram and Sarai new names to help them remember God's promise. God changed Abram to Abraham, which meant the father of many nations. God changed Sarai's name to Sarah, which meant princess. One day, 3 special visitors came to see Abraham and Sarah. "Come, rest under this tree," Abraham said. Then Abraham and Sarah scurried off to prepare a delicious meal for their guests. As the three visitors ate, they gave Abraham a message from God. They said that Sarah would have a son. Sarah had been listening carefully from inside her tent. When she heard the visitor's message, she laughed. "I'm too old to have a baby," she thought. Guess what happened? God surprised Sarah and Abraham. And a few months later, Sarah had a baby boy. They named the baby Isaac, which meant laughter, because they were so thankful and happy that God kept his promise. God loved Sarah and Abraham very much and surprised them with a little baby boy. And you know what? God loves us and gives us good surprises too, and he will always keep his promises for you. Abraham went on to be the father of many nations, as promised by God. Every man, child, woman, from that time forward, were blessed by the blessing given through God, from God to Abraham. We pray that you have been blessed by this story, and we look forward to being able to have you in church with us. But until then, we will continue to post these videos for you and bless you. Hopefully you will receive a blessing from God. We love you, and we look forward to seeing you again. Good night from Uncle Phil.